Welcome to another triathlon podcast, the podcast that brings the electrifying world of triathlons right into your headphones. Journey into captivating conversations, share the excitement of race recaps, enjoy the humor only a triathlete would understand, and join us as we debunk myths and bring you the bare, thrilling truths of the triathlon world. So feel your heart pound, breathe in anticipation, and get ready to dive into the world of triathlon. This is another triathlon podcast. Enjoy the ride.
Welcome back to another special episode of the Profiles on Another Triathlon podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jenna Sarah, and we got Josh and Fede alongside me. And today we've got an exciting guest joining us, the remarkable Chase McQueen, who pretty sure has the best name in triathlon, and I'm sure that's not the first time he's heard that. But he's definitely making some waves at the Olympic distance as well as Super League, which he just raced here in Malibu on the weekend. So welcome to the podcast, Chase. We're glad to have you on here.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. I listened to the podcast last week with Parker and Nick, and
awesome.
I really enjoyed it. So I was happy to get the invite, and I'm looking forward to chatting.
Yeah, you know what? We just like to geek out on triathlon, so we figure you're one of the best people to chat to. Sounds like you're doing lots in the triathlon world, and great to see you racing with the Warriors here. But before we jump into all the Super League fun, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you first got into triathlon? What got started in this crazy sport?
Yeah, I guess I am one of those like younger generation people that kind of got into the sport pretty early. I grew up swimming, like competitive swimming is definitely my background. But when I was in high school, I kind of started running and cross training just kind of for fun. I did my first like just local youth triathlon when I was 15 years old. And yeah, I kind of got identified and raced in the Junior Elite Series that we have in the US. It's just like a draft legal sprint series that's pretty competitive for people that are trying to get into the sport early. And yeah, a lot of people have come through that program, but I raced that from basically ages like 16 through 19. And we have, it started out kind of racing just domestically in that junior series. And then that grew into racing more internationally at the Junior Elite, I guess, global level, racing world championships and things like that. But yeah, it was kind of a tricky situation for me leaving high school because I was very passionate about triathlon. I love triathlon, and that's kind of where I guess all my excitement was in terms of endurance sports. And I was kind of burnt out of swimming, so I didn't really want to swim in college. But I also knew that like going to a Division I school was like a dream of mine, and kind of the only way to do that was through athletics. So I turned to running, and I ended up going to the University of Arizona for cross country and track and field, as well as academics, obviously. But yeah, I felt like a piece of me was sort of missing because I was very passionate about triathlon, and I kind of had to fully focus on running. So that was kind of where Project Podium came along. After my sophomore year of college, Parker and USA Triathlon kind of created this program, as you guys and the listeners heard last week, to sort of, I guess, capture that talent that they were losing to single sport athletes in college. And obviously the program was designed to kind of keep those triathletes that had grown up racing in the sport and turn them into Olympic medalists. So that's kind of where I transitioned to competing in triathlon full time and transferred to ASU, finished my degree there. But my career kind of took off under Parker. And yeah, now I'm racing, I guess, all over the world at the highest level. And Super League's a big part of that. But also there's a lot of other, races that we do as well. So it's been a pretty crazy past like decade. I'm 25 now. I feel like I've been in the sport for a long time, but hopefully I still have a lot ahead of me as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. We're definitely seeing a whole new generation come through that are triathletes from the start, which is something we haven't seen. Triathlon was usually a bunch of people who kind of liked one sport or the other, or like you said, got sick of swimming. Seems to be a lot of the way some of the Olympic athletes came into triathlon. So it's kind of cool to see the evolution of the sport as athletes are starting out from high school and younger to be triathletes. Now, was there any one race or one event where you're just like, okay, this is it. This is what I'm going to do for my job. I think I can really make it in triathlon.
There was never really one race. I think I just like I really enjoyed racing. I enjoyed like the lifestyle of trying to get the best out of myself. I think the training is like what really motivates me. I feel like it's just it's a very healthy lifestyle. Um, I had a lot of like friends growing up that also were racing the junior series, so I think that really like just spiked my interest as well. But I think like yeah, it was always just the thing that excited me was like you kind of you always get out what you put in, and like you see results if you work hard, and it's obviously never linear. It's always like there's a lot of ups and downs, but like that challenge is what still excites me to this day. And I think hopefully I'm nowhere near like the potential that I think I have, but like I really enjoy the process of trying to get there. I think that's what no singular race, but that's just what excites me the most.
What would you say to kids in your similar situation now that maybe Parker hasn't found, or they haven't found triathlon the way you did, or had the opportunity to be found, but are good at college sports and have a track background or have a swimming background and are excelling there? But what would you say for them? Like, how do they find out more about where you ended up in Project Podium? And obviously, we know there's some ways to get there, but are there kids in triathlon that maybe not know about it? How would you say to them, like, if they had to make a decision, triathlon or one sport in college, what would your suggestion be?
Yeah, this is like a really tough question because I think it's a dynamic answer and it's different for everybody. And I've had a lot of conversations about this with actually people that are kind of looking into joining Project Podium. Like for me personally, I can't recommend Project Podium and Parker as a person enough. Like I knew that I was the most passionate about the sport of triathlon, so I think that's why I gravitated towards that program. But I think it's like in anything, it's like if you don't love it, you're not gonna excel or reach your potential. And if you don't love triathlon, let's say you're really good at triathlon, but you don't love it, it's probably not something that you want to go do full time. It's just going to be, you're never going to get the best out of yourself because you're not that into it. So it's like if you really love running and you think that going to run at a collegiate program, would be the thing that makes you the happiest, then like you're going to end up being the best athlete because you love it. And if it's the same thing with swimming, or if it's biking, or if it's anything, like if you don't love it, you're never going to reach your potential. So you have to love it. And Parker does a really good job at kind of recruiting great athletes, but also just people that I think have the mindset of, look, I'm gonna bring everything I have to the table. I'm gonna contribute to this group environment, and I'm gonna try to get the best out of myself at the end of the day. And I'm gonna work as hard as I can. And you see him kind of bring in people that sometimes don't even have a huge background in triathlon. They're just maybe they have a mountain biking background, or like Sullivan Middle, right? Like this guy's just super athletic. He comes from a really athletic family, but he didn't have a ton of experience racing triathlon. Like a guy like that has the right work ethic and has the right mindset. I think that's kind of what Parker looks for more than anything. But obviously with USA Triathlon, like there's tons of different avenues you can kind of pursue the sport. Like my girlfriend who also races for the Warriors and who is also really competitive on the World Series scene, like Gina Serino, she ran in college, and I think like that was probably one of the best decisions for her. She ran 5 years at Michigan, and she kind of went the college recruitment program, that avenue, and she's turned out, at the same level as a lot of people that have been growing up and doing it the whole time. So there's a lot of different ways you can pursue it. There's no right answer for anybody. It's just kind of a individual thing that you have to come to a conclusion for yourself about.
That's a good answer. Appreciate that.
Something I wanted to ask you, Chase, and thanks again for coming on the pod. Kind of like a two-part question. The first one, you mentioned that you really gotta love triathlon for it to work out for you, and I truly believe that. Like, if you're a pro or an age grouper, you truly gotta be in love with the sport and put the right work in and the hours and everything, because it's a super demanding sport, but also like you mentioned, it's super rewarding in the sense that it gives you back what you put into it. How do you cope with putting the right amount of work in and not overdo yourself or overtrain a little bit? Like, until what point do you say, okay, this is enough, and then do you have that parameter, or have you gone too far in your career?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think it's a tough balance. Like especially at the highest level of the sport, you're treading that line kind of constantly. I think the biggest thing that I've learned over the years is it's always better to be a little bit more cautious than it is to overdo it. Like I do the sport because I love the sport, and as soon as I'm not having fun, then I'm not afraid to kind of say to my coach or even to myself, like, just take a step back, like take a day off, go have some fun, do something else that you're passionate about.
Mm.
It's good to have like distractions outside of the sport as well to kind of keep your mind a little bit sane, because it's pretty all consuming and you can get sucked in and go down that rabbit hole pretty fast. But um, yeah, I think you gotta have the right people around you, and you gotta have the right mindset that, like, at the end of the day, why are you doing this? You know, like, do
Yeah.
you do it for the right reasons? And for me, like, one thing that there's this quote that I really love, and it's like who were you, or something like this. Who were you before the world told you who to be? And like for me, I just think about that, and I'm like, why do I do what I do? Why do I train 30 hours a week? Why do I travel all over the world and make all these sacrifices? And like, yeah, at the end of the day, it's because I love triathlon, and it's worth it, and it's like the lifestyle, the health, like the friends that I've made, the relationships I have, like that's why I love the sport, and everything else is just kind of like icing on the cake.
It's such a good quote, and I think you have the right mindset to last long in the sport and actually be one of the great ones. So yeah, keep it up, I guess.
Thank you. Yeah, it is really tough too. Like, I know that I've kind of battled with that a lot. Like, I mean, obviously mental health is a hot topic, but like, it's no joke. Like, it can be really demanding, and especially kind of when you're trying to qualify for a big event, or there's a lot of people that you're competing against. It's like, it gets pretty political at times. Some things don't go your way, some things do go your way, and it's like, yeah, you just got to stay true to yourself through everything, because yeah, that's, at the end of the day, it's just a sport, and you want to get the best out of yourself, but also you want to be a good person, and do it for the right reasons. So like, that's always important to everyone.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking about qualifying for that big event, obviously you're trying to qualify for a little race that some people might have heard about at the Olympics. But why don't you tell us a little bit about what that Olympic qualification looks like, and kind of what your path to the Olympics looks like right now?
Yeah, so I guess for 2024, that's like right around the corner. Our qualification process is like already really, I mean, we're in the thick of it now. We have one more automatic qualification event that will be next spring, probably in May in Yokohama. Um, so that the auto qualification there is to finish top 3 in that event, which is a really, really hard standard to hit. So yeah, it's kind of looking likely that the second spot for the Olympics for the men will come down to a discretionary selection. And then, the selection committee kind of just looks at a whole, your past 2 years of results, how you look for the relay, things like that. There's still a chance that we get 3 guys for the Olympics as well. So a lot of that stuff, you just have to really kind of put together a really good holistic resume that says, hey, I'm good for the individual race, I'm good for the relay, these are my strengths, these are the results that prove it. And yeah, there's a few guys in the mix, and hopefully, I'm right in the thick of that as well. But yeah, it's something that's like, I think about a lot, but it's also not, it's not like the only thing that kind of gets me out of the bed in the morning. It's like, if it happens, it happens. I still am a pretty young athlete. I have LA to look forward to. It's going to be, it's going to be tough to make the team, but I think I do have a shot, and there's probably 3 or 4 guys that are kind of in the mix still.
Yeah, it's interesting. Definitely seeing the teams kind of changing up how they approach the Olympic selection, with the team relay being another chance for medals now. So are you going to have many opportunities to do some of the mixed team relays to kind of showcase your speed there?
Yeah, so we had a few in this past year, and then obviously they look at things like even like Super League, right? Like shows kind of how well rounded you are. A series like that where you kind of really have to be a strong biker, you have to be a strong swimmer, you have to be good technically. Like there's so many skills that come into play. And yeah, exactly like you said, I'm just trying to kind of put together a good resume to put my best foot forward and make my case for why I would be, the best person to choose for the relay. We have Morgan Pearson already selected, and yeah, obviously he's like a super talent. He works really hard. He's well deserving of the spot, and he's obviously a really good option for the relay. So to be on that team with him would be, yeah, really a dream come true. It'd be pretty cool.
How do you think your race went in Paris? So, like, just being there and knowing what could be very shortly there down the road, like, how was that whole experience being in Paris and being almost in that Olympic environment?
Yeah, I had a very poor race in Paris. I've kind of just had like an up and down year. It's this racing is just, yeah, a couple percentage points off, and it's like everything gets exposed, and yeah, you get exposed pretty quickly to say the least. But to be in that environment, I think was a good learning experience for me. I felt a lot of, I think, pressure. I probably made some mistakes in the lead in, like overdoing it a bit too much. So to kind of go through that process and see the mistakes that I made is actually, at the end, it's like a really good learning experience. And yeah, obviously it's not the result that like I wanted to have, but it's better than having it in the Olympics. So I think a lot can change in the year coming forward for the better and for the worse. So I got to make sure that I just turn that result into, a learning experience.
Yeah, definitely better to work the kinks out now. Well, let's chat a little bit more about Super League there. You're definitely no stranger to the series, both on the road and then at the Arena Games with a win back in Montreal. I'm over in Canada, so it was fun to see the race over here in Eastern Canada. But
Thanks.
why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of your experience at Super League at Malibu? I know you weren't quite feeling 100% going in, but you still pulled off a pretty great result there. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the day and kind of the Warriors' plan going in?
Yeah, I got sick. I got COVID actually I guess last week now for that, the first time I've had it. So that was pretty
Oh, really?
unfortunate.
Oh, talk
Yeah,
about
I didn't, I didn't totally know if I was going to be able to race. So I was pretty happy that I was feeling better. In the race itself, I didn't have any, any like chest congestion or pressure or like any sinus things that were like an excuse for me not to race. So I was like, let's just do it. See what I can do. See how I can do. Try to put
Mhm.
some points on the board for the Warriors. But yeah, it's pretty. I guess as you guys heard from Parker and Nick, it's like it's really cool to be a part of the Warriors. I think trying to be a leader for some of the younger guys. I think that's something that really excites me a lot. It's interesting. Like we have a mix of pretty, I think, polished athletes that, especially on the female side, that have done a lot of racing at that level, and then we have some younger guys like Carter and Reese who are still really developing, and I think showing a lot of potential. But to get like thrown into that environment where you're racing all the best guys in the world, it can be kind of overwhelming for some of them at times, I think, but they're handling it really well, and I think they have a lot to look forward to, and that's kind of why the Warriors and the Real Triathlon Squad have stepped up to kind of create this team to, yeah, to really like help the younger people develop into world class athletes, and hopefully, in a couple years we're more competitive with the top teams and the top guys, and hopefully I'm a big part of that as well.
Yeah, that eliminator format is one heck of a format to jump in for your first few races there. It takes no prisoners.
Yeah.
Lowest three across the line, and then you got the 90-second rule on top of it, just means that athletes are constantly getting cut. So it's probably a really great experience for them just to see kind of where the top level is and how fast and crazy that racing can be.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I kind of look at that situation and I'm like, man, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, even like I wish I had this opportunity because there were so many mistakes that I made along the way that I wish somebody could have told me, what to do. And I think Super League is doing an amazing job of putting on this series that's captivating for fans, but also like really challenges athletes in a whole, I mean, you got to be really well-rounded. You got to be a great swimmer. You have to be really good technically. You have to make really good instinctual decisions, and everything's moving so fast. It's like, it's really hard in the moment, but it's almost like over before it even starts. And if you make any mistakes, it's like 10 seconds turns into 60 seconds, turns into eliminated. So it teaches you to be really just a great athlete. And I think a lot of those skills translate into all the other races we do. And yeah, Carter and Reese, like these guys are gonna really make big jumps because of that. And yeah, I think it's really a good opportunity to have. And even for me, like every race that I do in the World Series kind of slows down a lot because of how fast it is in Super League. And you race guys like Hayden and Alex and Johnny and Christian, and like a couple years ago, I probably would have been looking around, kind of giving them space or giving them the edge just because of who they are. But, you get thrown into these races and it's like, oh no, Hayden, like maybe I'm not quite there, but I'm still close, and I'm not going to give you this edge because you're Hayden, right? Like I'm not going to look around and give you an edge. And I think it really helps, younger athletes kind of keep that perspective that they are competitive and they deserve to be here and they have a lot to look forward to. And with a lot of work and I guess more training and more experience, they can kind of be right in the mix.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago that Aiden was the new kid on the block with the Super League stuff, just trying to keep up and run until he blows, and he just kept extending that time before he exploded. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can definitely pick it up pretty quick through that series, racing so often and just trying to make decisions when your heart rate's 190 BPM. I can't imagine it is very easy either.
Yeah, it's also just it's kind of like it's stressful, but it's more relaxed of an environment. You're racing for a team, and you kind of try to bring out the best in each other. And you're traveling together. You're all staying in the hotel together. You're kind of encouraging each other. So it's you go to some of the World Series races, and it's a lot of pressure. You're spending a lot of time alone in the hotel room thinking about your race. And Super League, I think, is everybody's in it for the same reasons, and I think it's kind of like just a fun series to be a part of. I think they're doing a really good job.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it perfectly. Like, it's the right platform to get experience for the races that I don't want to say Super League doesn't matter, but the qualification events or the major championship events, and it's like a great platform, both financially and in terms of experience for young athletes to get the experience that otherwise they wouldn't have to. They wouldn't be able to if they weren't on a WTCS start line. So, and it's very funny to me to hear that everything slows down when you go to a sprint or Olympic, even though you're still going super fast.
Yeah. I mean, these Super League races, they're just full throttle, right? Like you can kind of see it. I think everybody's going as hard as they can until they blow up. That's pretty much the extent of it. And yeah, obviously, like we don't get to race the World Series more than 6 or 7 times a year, if you're lucky enough to make a start list. And Super League, you kind of get that experience 3 times in one day if you're able to survive the rounds. And then you do 3-4 races. It's like it's a really good experience. It really helps with development, and yeah, like I said, it really does translate into these other races that we do because yeah, you don't give an edge to anyone. You learn to race with good instincts, and I mean, I think you just learn to be confident in yourself because you do belong there, even if you're 18 years old.
Just a little geek talk about this weekend, especially too, is like with that 4 minutes in between. How much did your heart rate actually come down? Did it fully reset? Like, are you guys at that level where, all right, we're back down to like 120, 115? Like, how low can you get it before you go again? Or is the nerves for the waves already back?
No, yeah, everything goes by really fast. 4 minutes goes by in like the blink of an eye. It's kind of stressful actually because you're having to set up your transition again. You're having to put rubber bands on your shoes. So kind of by the time you cross the finish line, it's like it's already over, and then you got to head back down to the beach and like get ready to go. So maybe your heart rate gets down to like 110, 115, but it's definitely not getting back down to 60 or 70 like it would before the race. it's kind of just like one full event, right? Like it almost is just like 45 minutes of racing, and you try to get some water or something in between, but like, yeah, it's still a race, it's still like really stressful, those 4 minutes.
Yeah, motivation to finish faster because the clock starts as soon as the first person comes across the line. So everyone else is at a bit of a disadvantage by the time
Yeah.
they get across.
Yeah, that was me this weekend. I was like 30 seconds behind. So my 4 minutes was like 3:30 or whatever. But I don't know. It's still, I think the hardest series or the hardest format for most of the athletes is the enduro, because you just do back to back to back, and you gotta think about things that in a normal race you would never really think about. Just like trying to get your cap and goggles on while you're still running to go back into the water, and you got to kind of like figure out which way you're going to rack your bike when you're coming in, if you need to save water or save time before you get onto the run, or there's just a lot of like things that a lot of the viewers probably don't even like realize. But there's so many little decisions that go into a format like that you're just like, yeah, it's so stressful. And then one mistake, turns into like a huge mistake, and then you're out of the race. So you have to really be on it.
Yeah, I did some of the corporate races, and there's no worse feeling than running and then jumping into the water and trying to swim. That just is awful. It's just mean.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really crazy. It feels like your feet are just sinking and your arms are like not turning over. It's like you're swimming through mud.
Absolutely. Now, you definitely had some success at the Arena Games, which was, if listeners don't know, kind of an indoor version of the races where they're in a swimming pool and they swim in the pool and then jump on Zwift on stationary bike trainers and then head on to some self-propelled treadmills and run on Zwift as well. So how do you find the Arena Games format compared to the championship series outside? Like how does that kind of differ between the two?
Yeah, so I would say, like, to sum it up, I think the Arena Game shows really good, just like raw skills. And then as soon as you go outside, you have to have a lot of other intangible skills outside of swimming, biking, and running. So I think like the Arena Game shows a lot of potential because really all you're doing is, swimming in a pool. There's no one around you. There's no one to fight against. There's no decisions to make other than, how hard you're going to go or when you're going to flip turn. And then on the bike, there's no handling involved. There's no trying to get good positioning, trying to get into T2 first, like no decisions like that. You're just putting out as much power as you can for 4 or 5 minutes. And then you get on the treadmill and it's just the same thing. It's, there's no decision making besides going fast. So it shows really good, I think, just skills, but it doesn't show all the other decisions that you have to make when you're racing outside. And I think probably as any triathlete knows, as any viewer knows, it's like there's so many other things outside of swimming, biking, and running. We have to practice our transitions. We have to practice, even just trying to pick the right lines when we're going around corners, right? Things that are probably pretty stressful for a lot of people, even at the highest level. And riding on a trainer doesn't involve any of that. So yeah, the Arena Games is a ton of fun. And I think it shows a lot of potential. But there's still a lot of things that you have to kind of add on to that to be competitive when you're racing Super League outside.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. A lot of, I think listeners kind of jumped onto that with Lionel Sanders going out and racing at the Arena Games. And, he did pretty good in the Arena Games, but definitely when you start talking about the bike handling skills and things like that, I think he'd get his doors blown off pretty quickly outside on the World Champ Series.
Yeah, I think you could probably say the same about me going to race 70.3 Worlds or an Ironman though. Like it's just different skills. I have a ton of respect for that guy, like to kind of throw his hat in the ring against some of the fast twitch short guys. It's like takes a lot of guts to do that. And yeah, he did do a really good job. So hopefully he'll be back.
It'd be fun to see.
Speaking of fast twitch athletes, how do you prepare for, like, say, a Super League race and like a WTCS race if it's an Olympic distance and you have, let's say, a week or two in between? Does your training change a lot, and which race do you give more emphasis to?
It's different for everyone. So it kind of depends how you plan your season and what races you want to really try to peak for. For me personally, I really do love the Super League series. So I really do try to be competitive at all of those races throughout the year. And for an Olympic distance, for training for that, obviously you need to have a lot more volume in the legs probably, and not necessarily as much emphasis on speed and quick, twitch turnover and stuff. So for like Paris, let's say that Olympic distance, like I would spend a lot more time running like longer threshold runs or longer strength runs. Same on the bike, like, go ride for 3.5, 4 hours, 5 hours, whatever it is. And in the pool, you're swimming more, maybe more yardage, and it's just kind of getting through the volume. But then as soon as you start to prep for Super League, it's a lot faster. So instead of doing, let's say 8 by a K on the track, I would be doing 200s or 300s or 600s, and really trying to just focus on turnover. Same thing with the swimming. It's more like fast, really get out speed. All you got to do is swim for 300, so you just have to be really quick. And then on the bike, like you got to be strong, obviously. And I think a lot of that, the volume that you do prepping for an Olympic distance kind of does translate into Super League strength. But for Super League, you have to be exceptionally good at like accelerating out of turns, really high, you're going up and down wattages all the time. It's not necessarily like a high total power ride, but it's very spiky. So you'll, do, let's say for me, like 800 watts, maybe 25 times within an hour, but you'll never hold that for more than 20 or 30 seconds,
Right.
Just 800 watts, Fetty. Just 800.
Big deal.
But it's nothing compared to some of these like cycling sprinters or something. But I'm just trying to say, you just basically just go up and down. It's just sprinting constantly. It'd be like, going around a U-turn just 5 times in 30 seconds.
And I think you saw a little bit more of that in Malibu this weekend too, with the course change and all that, shortening it up and getting those tight turns. So it was definitely interesting to watch what you just explained too, is that quick burst out of each turn. And it seems like we've all been waiting for Hayden to kind of have that perfect race, and it seems like he finally had one. A little bit of relief out of his. What was it like watching him compete at that level this weekend? And like when you got a chance to look back on it, it was like, is that the Hayden that you guys kind of expected to see a lot this year?
Yeah, I think that's the standard that Hayden holds himself to. I was teammates with Hayden last year, and that was kind of when I really got to know him a lot better. And this guy, I mean, really down to earth outside of racing, but as soon as the start gun goes off, I mean, he switches into a different mode. Like, he's just a killer. And I mean, he's really, really talented, but he also works really hard. And yeah, his level is just, when he's on. Like, yeah, he's really strong on the bike. In the surf, I think that's probably where he excels in terms of swimming. And yeah, his running is just, especially over short distances, like anything less than 5K. Yeah, he's really hard to beat. And yeah, he put it together on the weekend. So props to him. Definitely just a class above everybody else. But that's kind of, you see it like, even with the top guys, you see a lot of ups and downs throughout the year. But even a guy, like Hayden, I have a ton of respect for, because when he has a bad day, it's like 5th or 6th, or whatever it is. And like, for me, when I have a bad day, it's like really bad, like these guys that are at the top. I don't know if everyone appreciates just how good they actually are and how consistent they are, because when you race 15 times a year, you're bound to have a couple bad races. Prep doesn't go great into these races all the time. Maybe you're battling sickness. There's a lot of things that can go wrong in this sport, and especially with the travel. And I think, yeah, when you can put it on all together on a day like that, and have a day like that where you're just a class above everyone else, the best guys in the world, it's pretty cool.
Or you can have a guy like Christian who raced like 30 times this year.
Any distance.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know how to describe him, to be honest. Like, he's an interesting guy just in its own, but like, yeah, racing, I mean, man, he's just got such good range. Like, I try to make the comparison in my head of like Usain Bolt being, a 100-meter sprinter, but also being able to race the 5K or 10K. And it's like, it just doesn't really seem like it'd be possible. And somehow he makes it seem possible. It's pretty amazing.
So I was just looking at Josh's hat there at the Tour de France. Can you give us a little insight into the team bus or the team meeting beforehand, kind of what your guys' tactics were going into this race? I know before there was a lot of talk about trying to get the fastest run split to get some points there. Did you
Yeah.
guys kind of have any team strategy going in or plan of attack?
Yeah, it's different for each team. So when I was on the Sharks the last year, it was more, I think, well, we were a team and there was a team aspect, but it was more like just kind of get the best out of yourself on the day and like we can all live with the results. With the Warriors, it's kind of we have a whole range of different levels, and a guy like Reese, like his talent is running, so he's kind of here to get good experience, but also try to score run points. So he'll literally like sacrifice his whole race just to get 8 points in the run. And Carter, he's like a really good swimmer, and we saw that in Toulouse. He got some swim points. So guys like that, you kind of say, hey, you're here to get points and you're here to get experience. So kind of try to balance the two. A guy like me, I would say it's like try to get the swim points and then try to get the highest finish you can in the overall. So you kind of have two things going. And then on the girl side, it's a little different because you have a lot more, I think, well-rounded, well-polished athletes like, Katie and Summer and, Kirsten. Like they're all so good at all three sports. So it's kind of like try to get the points if you have an opportunity in an individual sport, but just try to get as high as you can in the overall. And then, also on the girls team, Gina, like she kind of was told to get the run points, and she did the same thing as Reese, just sort of sacrifice your race to get that. And yeah, it's really fun, like to be a part of a team. I think the dynamic of racing, as a team for the team is kind of exciting, and we don't get that opportunity in triathlon all the time. So I think Nick and Adam and Parker are they're really doing a good job managing the team, and I think we have a lot to look forward to.
That's awesome. Well, we won't keep you too long on here. So we've got a couple quick hit questions here. Nothing too crazy that we'll run through here. And we'll start with, what's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten during a race or during training? Maybe some random gas station stop where you're just dying to eat anything.
During a race, nothing super specific. I think like the craziest story for me during a race is just one time I lost both of my water bottles, and I asked a guy that I was with, like in the bike group, to use his nutrition. So I didn't really know what I was getting, but I got something. So that's nothing too crazy. In training, it's kind of like there's been a few instances where I've completely hit the wall, and just like you go to a gas station and everything looks so good, right? Like you're getting as much, carbs as you can. I think the other question for us that we get a lot is like, what are some of the weirdest things you've eaten pre-race, right? Because
with the crazy locations you go to.
Yeah, we don't really get to like, you can't be picky. Like you can't be like, I'm gonna eat a filet or something every night before the race, or a pizza. Like it's just everywhere is so different. One time I was in South Korea, and I had like some sort of Korean barbecue thing with kimchi. And I was just like, is this going to sit well before the race? Like I had no idea, but I was like, this is my only option. So let's see how it goes.
Roll with it. Fair enough. I can see that being a little sketchy at times. Not quite sure what the local food fare is.
Sometimes we bring a lot of people bring like their own rice cookers or slow cookers or something, just so you can at least try to have something that you're used to before the race. I try to keep it pretty simple and just go with the flow, but I try to also not have a lot of protein, not have a lot of dairy, just simple carbs before the race.
Awesome. Next question is, if you had to race a triathlon as a pair with another pro, who would it be and why? So this would be, you guys have to stay together the entire day. It could either be someone who would be just fun to spend the race with, or someone who would push you. Really, whoever would be most interesting for it.
You can't say your girlfriend. I'll take
That's
the bullet for you.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think I would say Morgan Pearson, actually. Yeah, or maybe Dar Smith. Dar Smith is another one that I grew up with him racing, and we always have a lot of fun together. It's like good banter. It's just really relaxed, laid back, and yeah, he always, I think, brings out the best of me because we're competitive, but we're also friends, and those are things that I'm grateful for. But yeah, maybe Morgan, he's just an interesting guy. Like, he's got a ton of cool stories. He's very lighthearted, always cracking jokes. You can never tell if he's being serious, and sometimes, just when I'm around him, he's good energy. He's laid back, also very relaxed. I tend to be maybe more stressed out and a bit uptight before I'm racing. I kind of like to keep to myself a bit, so it's actually like really good for me to be around a guy like that who is just energetic and just kind of has fun with it. So he's another one who brings out the best of me, and he's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Okay, next one in here. If triathlon had a fourth discipline, what would be an activity that you would add that would give you an edge? Is there anything you're good at outside of triathlon that really gets you? We've interviewed a lot of Canadians where it's hockey, but
Yeah, I'm trying to think. What am I good at? I'm not that good at that many things. I'm really good at mini hoops basketball. Like, if you've ever been in a bar and you're playing mini hoops basketball, I'm pretty good at that. I like to play golf, so maybe if you could throw golf in, that probably I'm not great at golf, but I'm probably above like your just average triathlete at golf.
That's all it takes. Today's language there with the golf.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess that. Are you a golfer?
I love to golf. In every race I go to, I try to visit a local course. So yeah, it's kind of like a thing now.
Oh, that's a good. I feel like that's a good tradition to have when you're traveling, like to always do something. And golfing would be a lot of fun. I think the thing for me that's like that is coffee. I always try to find a nice coffee shop that. I think that's always, I kind of have a list of places I like to go, but it's always cool to go to new places and see a new coffee shop.
I am definitely right there with you with the coffee shop side. What is your guilty pleasure song that gets you pumped up during training or before a race? Do you have something that's really your go-to?
I think in the past, I really like Drake. I listen to a lot of Drake music. But actually, like, recently I've been listening to Deion Sanders, like, pregame football speeches.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we actually, in one of our meetings as the Warriors, we listened to a Deion Sanders pump-up speech with the football team, the Colorado football team. And I live in Boulder, so I mean, I'm not a Colorado fan necessarily. I guess I am sort of just by fault of living there now, but I can get behind Deion Sanders. He's a pretty interesting guy, really exciting.
I think we might be the same person.
His halftime speech, it seems like these days.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I think we see a lot of similarities though with the Warriors in Colorado, right? Like, maybe we're not here yet, but we're coming. That's kind of the motto, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that's what Nick was saying last week too. I mean, it's awesome to see you guys coming up and about, and it's not there yet, but the experience that you're getting is something that wasn't offered before. Yeah,
definitely.
Okay. Actually, I'm going to add one more question in here. So we've got 2 questions left for you. What piece of advice were you given once that really still resonates with you as you go through your triathlon career?
I feel like I've gotten a lot of good advice from people. The biggest thing, kind of like what I was touching on earlier, is just to keep a good perspective on kind of what you're doing and why you're doing it. I have always really struggled with like the kind of, I guess, missing a lot of family events, missing a lot of, like, I guess my sisters both got married. Like, I mean, I was there for that, but I've missed a lot of important things in my family. Also my friends, like, I've sacrificed a lot, but I think looking at it as more of an investment is really important. But I think just being able to take a step back and realize, like, I'm super grateful. I'm really thankful for the life that I get to live. I've had some amazing, memories, and also created amazing relationships that will go with me forever. But yeah, work and all these things are always kind of there, but you don't get this time back to be trying to qualify for an Olympic Games and racing all over the world. So it's like just keeping a good perspective on what you're doing, why you're doing it. I think that always brings out the best in yourself.
Love it. That's really great advice. Now, the final question I'll ask you, since you're a short course athlete, what are your thoughts on going long one day? Do you have any interest in going after Ironman, chasing that Kona title?
Yeah, I actually do. I would say I do really have an interest in long course. So that's something that, even with the PTO, I think I would probably dabble in the next like 3 or 4 years. I don't have a TT bike, so I probably should start there and just figure out if I like it after that. But yeah, it's funny because so I race Super League, obviously, which is like the exact opposite of that. And I feel like Super League is a strength of mine, but I would say personally, like, I consider myself more of a like diesel engine. Like I always really do struggle with very high, like coming out of T2 and just full gas sprinting as fast as you can, like in Super League. I kind of feel like I get better as the rounds go on. So maybe that would translate into at least 70.3. Ironman, man, that'd be tough. I think that's pretty long.
It's a long day, but it goes by pretty quick for sure. No, that'd be awesome to see in there.
Do all three of you guys race long distance, or do you guys also do some of the like draft legal stuff that you can, I guess, enter in?
I'm a terrible swimmer, so I stick to the Ironman distance. There's enough real estate to make up some time on the bike and run. So I like that.
It's an interesting way that she looks at it too, because like most people are like, I'm not swimming 2.4 miles. I can't swim that good. But she makes up a good point because she can crush everyone on the bike and the run. But yeah, I've gotten up to the 70.3 distance and really like that. The sprint, like you, I can do, and I kind of have that in me. But there's a much more calm level of enjoyment at 70.3 and pushing yourself to that red line, but not pushing it too much before the run. Jenna's actually off to Kona. So she's off to Kona on Friday. Be ready.
Oh, wow. Congrats. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching that. I think, it's going to be, I think you guys deserve your own day. So I think they did it actually really well. And watching Nice was like, I thought that was awesome. So it's pretty cool to have both venues now.
Yeah, it should be fun. Whole different vibe down there. We'll have a women's only race.
Well, good luck. Yeah, that's going to be awesome. Hopefully you have a good day. It'll be a lot of fun. Is that your first time racing there?
No, going back. Unfortunately, the last time didn't go so well, so need a little bit of redemption on the Big Island.
Yeah, well, now's your time. You can, make up for it.
Totally. And then, Fede's into long distance as well.
Yeah, into long distance and 70.3. But my favorite distance of all is Olympic non-draft. I think that's the best distance of all. Yeah.
It's funny, like, I wish we had more Olympic non-draft races. I think that there used to be such a big scene of that in the US, and now it seems like there's not as much. So I don't know, that'd be pretty fun as well. I think I do like those events where even in 70.3 it's like you got to be so well-rounded. Like you have to have strengths at everything. Like sometimes in these Olympic distance races you see it, it's just a 10K running race, or maybe you don't get challenged as much in the bike, or I like the races that kind of challenge everyone on all three.
Absolutely. Yeah. And at this day and age, with the level you guys are at, I reckon Olympic distance non-draft would be just an amazing show. I mean, it'll be amazing for me to watch, not maybe for you to be part of because you're going to be in pain. But I think an Olympic distance non-draft would be the best to see who is the better athlete.
Yeah. Well, it probably would still be Christian. That guy's amazing.
We'll see about that.
We'll see. Anyways, I was just going to say I really appreciate you guys having me on. It was a lot of fun to chat.
Yeah, we sure appreciate you taking the time and hearing a little bit more about Super League and Project Podium. There are definitely some exciting things on the horizon for triathlon in the USA, and especially at the Olympic distance. But we wish you all the best in your road to qualifying for the Olympics and the upcoming Super League race here in about 3 weeks.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's going to be an eventful last few races of the year, and yeah, really looking forward to it. And thanks for all you guys are doing with the podcast and trying to grow this platform and trying to, I guess, inspire people, but also just grow the sport of triathlon in the U.S. I think that's something I can really get behind. So I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you.
We were fans already, but even bigger fans after tonight. So appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.